Good morning, Patriots. How you doing today? Cough drop still in my mouth. I'm almost over it, thank God. This is Mike the Patriot coming to you live from the downtown metropolis of LaMonte, Missouri. I hope you guys are having a wonderfully blessed day wherever it is you are at. From the great frozen tundra of LaMonte, Missouri. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's 28 degrees outside. Me no likey, but it is what it is. We didn't get no snow like they're calling for, so I'll take that. It looks like it's going to be dry for the next week or so, but cold. We'll take it. It is what it is. Got to go through the cold to get to the warm. It's all that global warming going on. Anyways, this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it, even if it is 28 degrees outside. And I see you all checking in from Sea to Shining Sea. Marina in the Woods has got the word of the day. It is Matthew 10, 18 through 28. 10, 18 through 28. Go read that for yourself. Fill yourself every day with a little bit of God's word. But as you're logging in, say hi where you're watching from. We have people checking in from parts unknown and from around the world. Mississippi's checking in. Cowpen, South Carolina's checking in. Indiana's checking in. Let's see. Florida's checking in. Salt Lake City is Utah's checking in. South Carolina, Chicago. Bubba says he's checking in from California. Yeah, there's some good folks out in California. I mean, the ones that haven't moved out yet. Did y'all know that the U.S. attacked the Chinese warship in the Philippines? I hadn't heard that one yet. Let's see here. Kentucky's checking in. Minnesota is checking in. Iowa's checking in. Texas checking in. That's the way he spelled it. Minnesota. He spelled it like that. So I said it like that. North Kakalaka is checking in. Chattanooga, Tennessee's checking in. Kentucky's checking in. Pennsylvania, confused. Arkansas is checking in. Alabama, North Carolina, Southeast Missouri. More Alabama, more Arkansas, more Alabama. Alabama's representing today. Wisconsin's checking in. South Jersey's checking in. My condolences. I was in Jersey when I was at training in Fort Dix, New Jersey. Went through the hot, miserable summer and two nor'easters in the winter. What a godforsaken place. Ohio's checking in. I'm sorry if you're from there and you love it. It is what it is. More Alabama's checking in. Kentucky. North Dakota. So like I said, from Sea to Shining Sea, our Canadian folks are checking in. Like I said, lately we've had people from South Africa, from Great Britain, from Spain, all over the place. Make sure you go follow me on the other socials. You can follow me on Telegram. You can follow me on Twitter, TikTok, or X, whatever you want to call it. Rumble. If you're on Rumble, make sure you're when you create an account. If you don't create an account and you're not watching through your account, you can't comment. But if you create an account, you can comment. And in the bottom left-hand corner of the comment section, live comment section, there's a little tip jar. If you feel so inclined on Facebook, you can leave a star or two. They're a penny a piece. You have to stay to change Jersey. Hey, more power to you. All the links to all of my social media is in the the description section, wherever you're watching this video. Make sure you go follow me all those places, even if you have your preferred place, whether it be Facebook or Rumble. Or the only link that's not on there says, that's how you say that? Darren, D-A-R-R-E-N-D, Darren Rake. Thank you for that. I appreciate it 100%. Thanks for all you do in the Lord's work. That's a comment over there on Rumble. If you contribute with a tip and leave a comment, I'll try to read it on the air. Anyways, let's get on with the show. A lot to talk about, lots going on, lots happened over the weekend. Like I was about to say, the only place I don't have a link to is YouTube. And I know there's a few of you watching. Let me just look right here. See, there's 6 of y'all watching over there on YouTube right now. And I'll just let you know, go follow me on Rumble or somewhere else. Because I'm trying hard to get kicked off of YouTube, and I'm going to work on it today as we talk about guns. And YouTube don't like that. Neither does Facebook or TikTok. But hey, it is what it is. I don't live stream on TikTok, but I live stream almost everywhere else. Because TikTok doesn't communicate with the StreamYard software that I use. So anyways, I started to show off with this. New York Times is complaining that Trumpism is ruining the house. Trumpism is ruining the house. Okay. Yes, we like the house the way it was, full of a bunch of pedophiles and scammers stealing us blind. That's the way we like the house to be. That's basically what they're saying. We can't have all these Christian conservatives. We'll get to that. All these Christian conservatives in there. Jen Psaki, former White House spokesperson, was frustrated over the weekend with the new Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, because of his Christian values. And as soon as the commercial gets done, they got 7 seconds. I will play the video from Mediaite where she's showing her disdain for Christians. And it is so blatantly obvious. It's ridiculous. Let me cue this up here now that the commercial's over. Here's Jen Psaki talking about the new Speaker of the House. Just look at her facial expressions.
So let's take a few minutes to talk about this new speaker. First glance, Mike Johnson does seem fine-ish. Conservative, yes, but he once started a civility caucus with a Democrat. And I mean, if nothing else, he wears a suit and has glasses. How threatening can this guy actually be? Well, he gave us all a little clue as to how he would govern in an interview this week.
I am a Bible-believing Christian. Someone asked me today in the media, they said, it's curious, people are curious, what does Mike Johnson think about any issue under the sun? I said, well, go pick up a Bible off your shelf and read it. That's my worldview.
You heard that right. The Bible doesn't just inform his worldview, it is his worldview. In fact, during his first speech in his new job, Johnson suggested that his election as Speaker was an act of God. Talk about a bit of a humble brag there. So what exactly has God apparently called on Mike Johnson to do? Well, his views on policy are essentially what you'd expect from a religious fundamentalist. They're more divisive than they are divine.
From a religious fundamentalist, oh my goodness, we can't have that. How dare he? How dare he be a religious fundamentalist, be a Christian? Now, does she call them Islamic fundamentalists? The ones that are screaming Agbu Snackbar. No, she doesn't. She doesn't do that. Has a absolute disdain for Christians. It just shows in her commentary. And she says he's all right guy. You look at his policies, he's an okay guy for a conservative. But he's a Christian, and he likes the Bible. How evil can you get? Well, if you have a problem with a man who believes in the Bible, reads the Bible, wants to live the Bible, then that tells me who you serve, Jen. Enjoy this life, because if you don't repent, this is as good as it gets. So enjoy it. I'm just saying. Here's Peter St. John talking about something that Jerome Powell said over the weekend, or at the end of last week, in regards to the economy. Here we go.
Jerome Powell did something very scary the other day. He criticized federal spending. When the spending mouthpiece complains, you know it is bad. At an event hosted by the Economic Club of New York, the Fed chair delivered his usual fortune teller shtick amid cloudy stars and dancing data. But one sentence stuck out, criticizing federal spending, with Powell intoning, quote, "The path we are on is unsustainable. We'll have to get off that path sooner than later." Now, this is comic level understatement of the fiscal death vortex into which America has fallen, with $2 trillion deficits as far as the eye can see, and Congress itself now forecasting $144 trillion in debt in the next 20 years. All while debt service, recession, and wars pile on to drive it even higher. But comical or no, this is a big step for a Fed chair who has been noteworthy in the enthusiasm with which he tongue bathes the big spenders in Congress. To give a flavor, you can find a clip from June of a reporter asking Powell if federal spending is part of the inflation problem, where Powell acts like you just insulted his wife, fuming, quote, "We don't give advice to the government, we take spending as it comes, stick it in our model, along with a million other things." Now, Powell is not actually dumb enough to think that $2 trillion deficits is just one of a million other things. He knows federal spending is a fiscal black hole that is sucking everything in. It drains trillions from the productive economy, and going by the 10-year bond, it is now threatening catastrophe on the entire financial system. So why does Powell lie? Because the Fed's job is not to manage the economy. It's not, as the Fed claims, to carefully balance supply and demand and just the right amount of money so that America grows not too fast, not too slow, but just right. Plus, that is all a children's story. The Fed's real job is to print as much money as the people will tolerate, to seize via inflation what Washington cannot seize via taxes, and to deliver the proceeds first to Wall Street, then to Congress with cheap debt, and finally to the rich investors who own all of that debt. Thing is, this entire beautiful shell game depends above all on the goodwill of Congress. The Fed needs Congress to leave it alone so it can steal in peace. So no matter how reckless Congress is being, the Fed dutifully plays along, meaning it is a big deal when Jerome Powell summons the will to criticize his boss. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained. What's next is when the professional counterfeiter is worried about too much printing, it is a concern. For now, Powell's still talking like a kept man, hemming and hawing about getting off paths sooner than later, perhaps even to cover his butt for what's next. Alas, Congress does not care what's next. There is no guardrail, no countervailing force to limit Congress's spending orgy. The media certainly doesn't call them out, meaning most Americans may have a vague sense that Washington spends a lot of money, but they have no idea a crisis is coming. And so Congress will keep careening off the fiscal cliff, with Jerome Powell's sugar-coated butt covering a footnote on the way down. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.
So Jerome Powell says that our current rate of spending is unsustainable. Duh. I mean, duh. Unsustainable. That is the understatement of the week. But they won't stop spending. They'll just keep on spinning off into oblivion because they have no choice at this point. Because if they stop spending, well, it all comes to an end. Here's U.S. national debt is growing faster than the economy. The blue line is the GDP. The national debt is the red line. That's a bad deal. That's a bad deal. That's not good. This is going to accelerate as it goes on. Peter said that the people projecting our budgets saying the next 20 years will be $144 trillion in debt. Just wrap your mind around that. Why? Why are we doing this? It makes no sense whatsoever, except that they want to destroy our economy and destroy us and destroy the middle class and everything else. I mean, it has to be done on purpose. It has to be done on purpose. Breaking news, just seeing it right now going across the screen. It says that Detroit, let's see, was it GM? Let me run it across. Let me see it again here real quick. Come on. GM reaches tentative deal with UAW. That's ending the strike. So we'll see how that goes. Looks like the GM strike is ending. GM is going to close 500 dealerships around the nation. as they learn they don't need them anymore. Just remember that. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 287.93 today. NASDAQ's up 175.36, and S&P 500 is up 42.56. Gold is above 2,000 at 2,007.8. Oil is at 84.07, which is down a little bit because I think they're still dumping the strategic oil reserves. Silver is up at 23,635. That tells you anything. So silver and gold are up. The stock market's up. That's manipulated numbers. And the stock market's up on stories like this. CNBC reporting, McDonald's revenue climbs 14% as price hikes boost U.S. sales. As price hikes boost U.S. sales. That doesn't mean they're selling more hamburgers. That also means not necessarily making more profit. It means revenue is up. So let's go to the story. So on Monday, reported quarterly earnings revenues that beat analysis expectations as price hikes boosted U.S. sales. Now, I told you this was going to happen, that you're going to have a bunch of U.S. corporations out saying that their revenues have increased, their sales have increased per dollar because of inflation. It doesn't mean they're making more money, though. Shares of the company rose more than 2% in pre-market trading. Here's what the company reported compared to Wall Street was expecting based on a survey of analysis by LSEG, formerly known as your guess is good, mine, how you pronounce that. Earnings per share, $3.19 adjusted versus expected $3. Revenue, $6.69 billion. They were expecting $6.58 billion. Fast food giant reported third quarter net income of $2.32 billion or $3.17 per share, up from $1.98 billion or $2.68 per share a year earlier. Excluding items, McDonald's earned $3.19 per share. Excluding items, I wonder what that means. McDonald's revenue rose 14% to $6.69 billion. Global same-store sales grew 8.8% in the quarter, beating street account estimates of 7.8%. The company's same-store sales increased 8.1%, fueled by strategic price increases. This is important. McDonald's did not disclose how much its price has risen compared with a year ago period. Yeah, I wonder why they didn't disclose that. Probably because they, percentage-wise, raised their prices more than they earned. The chain also credited its market campaign and digital delivery orders, blah, blah, blah. The company's internal development license market segment, which includes China and Japan, saw same-store sales growth of 10%. I told you this is going to happen. And the reason this is going to happen is because these companies have figured in the price this year. You see, McDonald's contracts their meat or something. They contract their meat just like Tyson's does. See, I'm familiar with how Tyson's does business because there's lots of Tyson. I have friends who are Tyson chicken farmers. Tyson comes in and they contract with you for you to grow their chickens on your farm, but it's their chickens. They're building. I mean, you're owned and operated by Tyson's, basically. And they contract with you. So they come, they bring you the baby chickens, they put them in your houses, and they contract with you that they're going to purchase these chickens from you for X amount of dollars when the time comes. So that they know their future expenses are set in stone. McDonald's does the same thing. They contract with their beef. They contract with their flour. They contract with their potatoes. They know their costs in the future, however much time span that is. Well, right now, they're raising their prices due to inflation, but their costs were already set. Well, come around the next time, that's going to be where the trouble is, because sooner rather than later, these costs are going to catch up with them. Ford announces Ford pauses a $12 billion electric vehicle investment after saying electric vehicles are too expensive. They ain't worth the crap is the problem. Here's the story. Ford halted billions of dollars in investment in electric vehicle manufacturing, warning that customers will not pay the premium for these vehicles. The auto giant announced in its third quarter earnings call on Thursday that it would postpone $12 billion in planned spending on electric vehicle production and pause some major projects, including constructions of a new battery factory in Kentucky. Given the dynamic in electric vehicle or EV environment, we are being judicious about our production and adjusting future capacity to better match market demand. You see, the car industry is about to go through an explosion of dramatic proportions. And expensive vehicles are going to be stuck. Are going to be stuck on lots and not being able to be sold because customers, well, the interest rates are going through the roof. Incomes are not rising with inflation. Customers are making decisions that they're not buying the new car. They're not buying the fully loaded $100,000 whatever. And they're darn sure not buying electric vehicles because bang for a buck, gasoline vehicles are way more economic. The day may come when electric vehicles are a better option. The day may come. Today is not that day, nor is tomorrow. It's not going to be anytime soon, really. Because the technology isn't there, regardless of how much these people really, really, really want it to be there. It's just not there. And that's the problem with the marketplace. You see, this stuff was all figured out. Well, they've been hiding and suppressing. No, they didn't hide and suppress anything. Electric vehicles, steam-powered vehicles, compressed gasoline vehicles, compressed air vehicles, they all existed 100 years ago as the marketplace battled for the best bang for the buck. The internal combustion engine won, whether it was gasoline or diesel, because they were what the consumer demanded at the time for various reasons. One, you could walk out to your internal combustion engine, turn the key, fire it up, and drive 300-400 miles just like that. If you got out to your Stanley steamer, which had more horsepower and more power, by the way, you had to first start the fire with coal or wood, get the steam broiler going to get it. And he took a risk of it exploding. That's always inconvenient. Your battery operated one had the same limitations we have today. That's batteries. Your electric car is not an electric car. It's a battery operated car. And the limitation on an electric car is the batteries. They're just not efficient enough. There may come a time when they are, as technology progresses. But not today, not tomorrow, and not in the foreseeable future. Hey, here's a concept for you. I think that this would be a great look. Electric motors, as far as horsepower applied to the ground, when you have 4 electric motors on a car, there's nothing better than that, really. That's why you see how fast a Tesla is. Everybody talks about how fast these electric cars are. And that's all fine and dandy. The problem is the distance. Your trains. This is where I think they should go. They can't go. They can't do this. Your trains run diesel electric engines. They have a diesel engine that powers a generator that powers the electric motors that run the train because it's the most efficient, most powerful way to do it. But they won't let you do this because, well, we got to get rid of the gasoline engines, don't you know? Because they're bad. Electric engines bad. That's all you need to know. There's nothing else to be said about that. So I'm looking for a particular post and I'm not finding it. Now I know why. Okay. So the biggest problem oh, wait, back to what I was talking about. I got distracted myself. I'm sorry about that. Woo, brain fart. So if we were to take, say, electric or gasoline or diesel engines and put them over an electric motor producing electricity with gasoline or diesel and put that into a car, you probably have a pretty good car. You probably could go twice as far, 3 times as far as you generate power with electric. The problem is they don't want to do that for various reasons. Here's another concept. This totally blow your mind. This will blow your mind right here. What about hydrogen fuel cell? Use a hydrogen fuel cell to create hydrogen to burn in an internal combustion engine to produce electricity to power your electric motors and your wheels. A hydrogen fuel cell's byproduct is water. It's good for the environment. It runs on water. That would be a massive new technology. How long have hydrogen fuel cells been around? Well, they used them in the 60s in our space program. So it is a possibility. But again, we're being limited from that, and everybody's pushing us in one direction. And it's the one direction that China dominates. And there, again, lies the problem. Therein lies the problem. Electric generation. Here says, wind companies losing billions of dollars, prompting fear of a federal bailout. And Donald Trump says, don't give 10 cents. It's the worst, most expensive energy. Kills our birds, ruins our environment. We should never need to subsidize energy. That's a good point. We should never need to subsidize energy. If you have to subsidize, if the government has to pay for it, that's not free market. Let the market determine. If you want to go out and you want to buy an electric vehicle, by golly gee willikers, feel free to do it. I don't have a problem with it. And neither should anybody else. If a company wants to make it and you want to buy it and you think it's best for you, then so be it. But why should your neighbor have to pay for it? What do you mean my neighbor's not paying for it? If you're getting a $7,000 subsidy to pay for your electric car, your neighbor is paying for your electric car. And it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. Now here is as y'all know, there was a shooter over the weekend. Bubba over there, Bubba 7979, he's the one that is living in California and doesn't like it, it seems. Mike's always getting me through the week. Just wanted to say that. Thank you. Well, I appreciate the tip there, Bubba, and I appreciate you being out there watching. In fact, I appreciate all y'all being out there watching. It does make a difference. Here's the news on the shooter. It says, the article, I'm just going to read the headlines. It says, the main shooter rampage suspect was found dead Friday night. Police said within 48 hours after the attack that left 18 dead and 13 wounded. Officials confirmed that Robert Card died from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. The reports that I've read is there may have been 2 self-inflicted gunshot wounds. That first one is a doozy. That second one is really a miracle. Law enforcement had been conducting an intense manhunt for Card following Wednesday evening shooting at a bowling alley in a restaurant in Lewiston. Maine rampage, the deadliest mass shooting in the U.S. this year, the deadliest since the Uvalde school massacre. At least 566 mass shootings have happened this year across the country. BS. Yes, that's right. Bovine excrement. 566 mass shootings. That's because they count all of the gangland shootings. They count any shooting, like if some guy goes nuts and shoots his wife and then shoots himself and then shoots his wife, that's a mass shooting. No, that's a suicide. They count all this stuff. And then everybody's going, oh my God, 500 times 18. Look at all the people that died. It's a lie. It's a total fabricated BS lie. 100%. I don't care who you are. You can't prove to me that there's been 566 mass shootings in the United States since the beginning of the year. Can anybody name 10? Write down the comments, write the 10 mass shootings this year. Do, 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 do. All you trolls out there, do, 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 do. Ba-doop, 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 doop, 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 doop. Can't name 10? Doop, 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 doop. Can you name 2 other than this one? Can you name 2? Name 2 this year, 2023. Doop, 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 ba-doop, ba-doop. That's right, you can't. You know why? Because if there was 566 mass shootings, we would all know about it because the media would cover it. But you know what? They don't report kids of darker complexion than me killing other kids of darker complexion than me in Chicago and Baltimore and St. Louis and LA and New York. They don't report that. They count them, but they don't report them. Why? Because it goes against their narrative. That's why. Because they have a narrative. Mike Johnson, they asked him about it because he's Speaker of the House now, and this was his response about the shooting up in Maine.
This is a dark time in America. We have a lot of problems, and we're really, really hopeful and prayerful. Prayer is appropriate in a time like this, that the evil can end and this senseless violence can stop. And so that's the statement this morning on behalf of the entire House of Representatives. Everyone wants this to end, and I'll leave it there.
Oh my gosh, she said prayer. We can't be doing no prayer in government. There's a separation of church and state. Well, to you trolls out there, where exactly does it say separation of church and state in the Constitution? I'm just asking again. You know what I mean? Where does it say it? Show me. I'm from Missouri. You got to show me, or I don't believe you, because I know for a fact the Constitution doesn't say it at all. We can't just pray. We got to do something. That's Kamala Harris. We got to do something. Here she is. There have been 566 BS bovine excrement shootings this year alone. We cannot normalize this. Congress must have the courage to act to save lives. Ban assault weapons now. To which Patriot AU says, please. Your borders are wide open with terrorists pouring through. Thanks to your whoring around with the WEF and sitting on your hindquarters doing nothing. Yep. She was supposed to be the border czar. Remember that? ban guns now. Of course, they drag out the Greta Thunberg of guns, Mr. Hogg. Y'all remember him, the Greta Thunberg of guns. Yeah, they drag him out. Here he goes.
How ridiculous it is that I have to continue being here and talking about this.
Actually, that was a bad choice.
It's okay, you're fine.
Actually, that was a bad choice because the janitor. Sorry.
It's okay, you're fine, David. You're fine, man.
Honestly, when I was going out, I was kind of in. I was. It's okay. When I was going out, I was in shock.
Yeah, saying I don't know how to put this in perspective. It's okay.
So most of my friends that made it out, one of them went into a bathroom in the same, I believe, in the same hallway as the shooter. Well, hold on. One of them went into the same bathroom, I believe, as the hallway shooter. He was in there at the same time, and he was in the bathroom, and he didn't know if he was going to live.
You know, a couple of years ago, or over a decade ago, we had one person try to bomb an airplane with a shoe bomb. And ever since, everybody has had to take their shoes off every time they go to the airport, pretty much. Yet we have tens of thousands of people that have been impacted by these mass shootings, many of them committed with semi-automatic rifles like the AR-15 time and time again, and yet we see nothing change. It is exhausting. I was in Maine only a couple of years ago lobbying the state legislature for a law that, from what the details sound like are coming out about this, may have been able to prevent what happened through a red flag extreme risk protection order. It's exhausting talking to legislators and them telling us over and over again that, you know, this is just not something that happens here. That's something that happens in states like Florida, but that doesn't happen here in Maine. And then unfortunately, it becomes the next place where it happens.
Okay. There he is, David Hogg, the Greta Thunberg of gun control. We got to ban guns. We're all going to die. And we got to get rid of the AR-15, the AR-15, the mean, scary, plastic AR-15. Weapons of war, weapons of war. Here is the view and their ignorance. I mean, Joy Blowhard is about as ignorant as they come. Look, if you're this ignorant, Joy, about a subject, don't talk about it because you're dumb.
Sarah didn't get a chance to weigh in on the topic of what happened in Maine and AR-15s.
Yeah, I would love to see an assault weapons ban. Like President Reagan, I don't believe they're a sport or hunting instrument. It's like shooting fish in a bucket, but that's my
But
take.
also, if you shoot with an AR-15, let's say you shoot a deer, you can't eat it. Because you basically demolish
In addition to that, but the hunt is about an actual difficult process, not massacring bodies of any kind. But my point is, I'd love to see that.
Sarah didn't get a chance to weigh in on the...
So if you shoot a deer with an AR-15, you can't eat it? Do you realize that that's about the round's about the size of a 22? You know, ignorance is bliss, but sometimes ignorance is just straight up dumb. D-U-M-B, dumb. And that is about the dumbest thing I've heard. I mean, really, that was ridiculously dumb. Here is I'll skip that one. Okay, so I have another thought on this. They want to ban AR-15s. They want to ban AR-15s because AR-15s are scary, black. Sometimes they're brown or gray. Sometimes they're camouflage painted guns. They're scary. We got to ban them. But you know what they're not going to ban? I actually have one of these. This is a British Enfield 303. This is the World War II, World War I weapon of war. Bolt action. This was the main gun for the British during the end of World War I and World War II. Shoots around, it's a 303. That's a big round, especially compared to an AR-15. This gun kicks like a mule. British Enfield 303. This gun has killed more Germans probably than any other gun. This gun was used all throughout World War II in every theater that Britain operated in. Millions and millions of them were produced. This gun is not a weapon of war, according to Joy Blowhard or David Hogg. And not only that, my father-in-law has one of these guns. This is the M1 Garand. This is a semi-automatic, basically shoots a 30-06. This gun was used by American forces throughout any theater we operated in during World War II. It has killed thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people in war. This is a weapon of war. Yet they will not ban this weapon because it's not scary. It's not scary like the M16. It's not scary like the AR-15, the Armalite Rifle Company 15. It's scary gun. It's scary gun. It's scary. It's black. It goes pow pow. And if you shoot the gun, the kick of an AR-15 is so scary that it's gonna make you cry and hurt your shoulder, buddy. You ought to shoot the British Enfield 303. You think that gun kicks like a mule? I mean, that gun, and it's heavy too. I can imagine carrying that gun like in war. These people are so ignorant. They have no idea what they're talking about with guns. Just that they're bad and scary and we need to get rid of them because somebody might get shot and hurt because the gun might kill them all by themselves. Freaking morons. Let's paint our AR-15s rainbow colored so they're not so scary. Yeah, that's a good idea. And then we can paint them rainbow colors and say that our AR-15s identify as an automatic hole puncher. These people have no idea what they're talking about. That's the scariest part of all this, is that they're so ignorant of anything when it comes to this, that they just don't know what they're talking about. We got to ban. So we got to do something. We got to do something. Well, why is it we have to do? Why is it we have to do something? Why can't we just do the right thing? Have you considered that? You know why they want to get rid of guns? Because they got plans. John Rich says this: when these guys show up in Tennessee, we'll be waiting. You know, I'm kind of with him on that. So when you show up in Tennessee, buddy, we will be waiting. They're reporting now that a bunch of Chinese nationals landed on the shores in South Florida. That's weird. Why would they be entering that way? Why would they be entering South Florida that way? Because that makes no sense. You know, it's kind of like this. How many more massacres do we have to orchestrate before you'll let us take your guns? That's what this was really all about. That's what this is really all about. Is they got to come up with, you see, Kamalo the other day was praising Australia for their confiscations of guns. Excuse me. They think, gee whiz, that's a model we need to do here in America. The difference is Americans aren't Australians, and we're not just going to lay down and give up our guns. And as we watch what's happening in world events, as we watch what happens in Israel, as jihadis come across the border screaming Agbus Nekbar and slaughter men, women, and children in their beds, torture and rape. And we think, gee whiz, that'll never happen here, except for the millions and millions of people who are coming across the border now. 10 million people since Joe Biden. And I've said this before. There's what? There's 7 to 12 people in a squad. There's 4 squads in a company. There's 25 to 50 people. I was going 4 squads in a company, 4 squads in a platoon. There's 25 to 50 people in a platoon. There's 4 to 5, 6 platoons in a company. So if you just call it 25, make the numbers easy, there's 100 or so people in a company. There's 4 or 5 companies in a battalion. That's 500 people in a battalion. There's 4 or 5 battalions in a brigade. So that's 2,000 people, give or take. 2,500 people, let's call it. There's 3 or 4 plus brigades in a division. So if there's 4 brigades, that's 25 times 4. So that's 10,000 people in a brigade, in a division. There's 3 or 4 divisions in a corps. So that's 40 or 50,000 people in a corps. And there's multiple corps in an army. So 2 corps, that's 100,000 people for an army. If 10 million people have crossed our border since Joe Biden has been president, and only 1% of the 10 million are jihadis or communist Chinese or whatever come across the border to do harm to America was a strategic plan and purpose, how many people is that? Somebody do the math. What's 1% of 10 million? I'm just saying, 1% of that 10 million is an army of people. And you just got to consider what's going on. What kind of mass mayhem could 100,000 people do across this country? What could they do? And you don't think they're here. But here's a little video that I found very, very, very interesting. 100,000, you're right. That's an army.
I'm just asking, what is this?
This is a banner and this is a table.
Yeah, but why is that?
That says, this is, are you a communist?
Yeah.
Then get organized. That's what it says.
Yeah.
And also under there, it says socialist appeal.
Yeah. So you're socialist?
Communist and socialist, yeah.
You're communist and socialist?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Where are you from?
I'm from China.
China. You? Portugal. So if you're from China, why you live here? It's just a good question, right?
Because China sucks, for me at least.
China sucks.
Yes.
So why are you promoting that?
Because China isn't communist. I don't know if...
China is not communist?
No.
I think China is.
Well, that's what they say.
No, it's not what they say. It's the reality. China is
I mean, the reality...
communist. No, you have permission to promote communism.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, okay,
This
fine.
is a public space.
This is a public space. I can film.
I mean, you can't...
Okay, before we keep going, I want to point something out. This lady is from China. She's a recent Chinese immigrant, or maybe she's here on college campus on a visa promoting communism. Who's this guy? He doesn't say nothing. He's got a mask on, so no one can see who he is. Let me tell you who this guy is. This is her Chinese handler. This is the Chinese Communist agent, Communist Party agent that's controlling her. She's the spokesperson trying to get communists to get organized. And this is the handler. And he's in the background making sure she does what she's supposed to do in controlling the situation. That's the way they work.
Film people without their consent.
I can. I'm on the public sphere. I can film anyone.
That's fine. Can we go to the conference call?
Yeah.
So once they get exposed, what do?
Objectively,
I'm just having a debate. I don't know. Communist people, this is what communist people do. They run away. When someone have a debate with them. I'm just talking to you. I'm not doing anything bad.
No, I know, but we have
I can't have a debate. I'm from a communist country. I know what communist is. None of you live in a communist regime. She lived in a communist regime and she fled. She left. Why you don't live there? You promoting this rubbish? You promoting this rubbish for what? You know how many people died through communism?
I mean, do you know how many people?
Where is your mind?
Capitalism?
Where is your
How
mind?
many people are in poverty
What
right now?
capitalism? Oh wow, yeah. But you live here on capitalism. Make it make sense. Make it make sense, please.
As I said, China isn't
No, I do. But I'm just having a debate with you. Why are you being rude, man? You are. I'm just talking to you. You offend me. You know why? Because my dad was in jail 15 years for communism. Just because he couldn't say what he thinks. Now I'm telling you, as a normal person, what I think about communism, and you offended. Because communists are like this. You can't express what you really feel. If you live in a communist country, you will understand what that is. But because you don't live there, this is what you do. You promote something that is very damaged to millions of people for years. And you support that because it's cool. It's not cool, man. You don't understand. It's not funny. You know how many people? It's not funny. You think it's funny. It offends me when I see people doing that. But I can't say anything because this is a free country. This is a free country. In Cuba, in my country, you can't do that. You can't promote anything out of communism.
Yeah, but we're
Only here you can do that. Go to fucking communist country and do it there. Why are you doing it here? Confusing people's mind, young people's mind.
I would love to
Confusing young people's mind. Oh my God. Tell me one country that communists work.
If you let us talk,
You don't even know why you are, man. Stupid idiots, bro.
So there's a guy from a communist country who escaped it. He's probably down there. It's probably in Miami or someplace. I don't know where that's at. I can't tell by his accent where he's from or where he's living now, but it is what it is. So what blew my mind about that whole video is that communist gal from China who said she came here to escape communism. No, she didn't. She's an agent. They're all over. Why are Chinese nationals landing on the beach in South Florida instead of coming through the normal way? Why are they? Who's paying for them to get? You know, the Chinese nationals didn't get to Cuba by walking. They didn't get to South America by walking. They got there somehow. And you think they're going to spend all that money and resources to bring these Chinese nationals to our border and our beaches? There's a reason for the investment. And it's not good. And they want to get rid of our guns. I wonder why. Here is the Israeli UN ambassador speaking at an evangelical conference in Texas over the weekend.
In the words of Isaiah, for Zion's sake, I will not keep silent. For Jerusalem's sake, I will not remain quiet. We must stand together, Jews and Christians, in our holy mission for the truth. Thank you. Today, dear friends, is a day of action. For tomorrow, our children and grandchildren will ask, How did you stand with Israel in her hour of need? We are all watching in horror as millions of Muslims around the world hold anti-Semitic protests supporting the genocidal Hamas terrorists. They are spreading this hate loudly, so we need to fight back louder. And Israel needs your voice. It's time to stand up and speak out. We need you now more than ever. We are united as a family because we always remember God's words. I will bless those that bless you, and I will curse those that curse you. Right now, there is an urgency that Israel receives your help with rallying and reminding leaders, representatives, and elected officials of God's word. If history has taught us anything, it is that many are quick to forget Jewish agony. And together, we have to ensure that this atrocity never be forgotten. It is crucial you remind everyone that today the blood of Israeli children was spilled, but tomorrow it could be the blood of any country's children. The time to act is now. Now.
So there's official spokesman for Israel speaking. Here's an official spokesman for Hamas speaking. Read the subtitles, and then I'll point out what he said to make sure we all understand.
كما قلت وفي كل مرة أكرر إن دماء الأطفال والنساء والشيوخ لا أقول تستصرخكم، بل نحن الذين نحتاج هذه الدماء لكي توقظ فينا روح الثورة، لكي توقظ فينا العناد، لكي توقظ فينا التحدي والسير إلى الأمام.
So let's just back that up and let's look over his words. He says, I've said this before and I'll say it again. The blood of the women, the children, and the elderly. The blood of the women and children and elderly. I'm not saying that this is the blood, saying this blood is calling for your help. In other words, we're not asking for help for the blood of the women and children and elderly. No, we don't want your help. That's not what this blood is for. So what's the blood for? We are the ones who need this blood. We are the ones who need blood from the women, the children, and the elderly. Well, why do they need this blood? That's a weird statement. So it awakens with us the revolutionary spirit. They need the blood so that the Muslims will get all fired up and not like Israel, because Israel's killing women, children, and elderly, that the Hamas people won't let flee, and they're using as shields, so that it awakens within the revolutionary spirit. So that it awakens within us resolve. That's right. We need to make sure that there's blood of women, children, and elderly so that we have resolve. So that it awakens in us the spirit of challenge. We need to make sure that we have blood of women, children, and elderly so that we can have the spirit of challenge. Remember, these are the good guys according to Rashid Tlaib and all of them. And it pushes us to move forward. We need the blood of women, children, and elderly to push us to move forward. Think about that. Think about it. These people are sacrificing their women, their children, and they're elderly, so they'll have the blood for further jihad. And who are they jihading against? Israel. They're jihading against Israel. You know, here in the West, we're ignorant of this. We're protesting. Somebody was asking some of the protesters what they meant by what they were saying. Here you go.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
What happens to Israel?
Just one quick question. How do you define Palestine?
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Absolutely, absolutely. And which river is that?
Well, it's next to Egypt, so one of those.
Okay. Okay. So look, here's Israel.
Where?
Just there.
There. It's tiny.
Oh yeah, yeah. And so the river would be
this one, the Euphrates.
Okay, that takes up most of Iraq and Syria.
Oh, it's not that then.
No. Okay.
That's the River Jordan. The River Jordan.
Yes, and the sea
is the Mediterranean.
Yes, yes. So you want all of this area to be free?
Yes.
Of?
Israelis?
Including Israeli Arabs?
No.
All right, so just non-Israeli Arabs?
Yeah.
So Jews?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so you've got all these Jews, and what are you going to do with them?
Good question. Maybe put them in America.
America, yes, of course, land of the free.
Yeah. Although, I did once have a very nice time in Tel Aviv.
Well, and we'll.
It was a big gay pride thing. A very handsome shag fest. So maybe they can stay.
Okay, so gay Jews can stay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Lesbians?
Yes, stay.
Bisexuals?
Stay. And the trans.
And the trans, of course. So, just so I've got this right, broadly speaking, you want all of this area here to be free of heterosexual Jews.
That sounds about right.
You want all this area here to be free of heterosexual Jews. Just think about what they're saying. They're chanting from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Well, there's never been a Palestine. There's never existed. There's never been a nation. So they mean the land of Israel will be free. Free from what? Do you know that twice in my lifetime, I'm 52 years old, that Palestine has been, the Palestinian people have been offered nationhood by Israel for peace. And twice they've turned them down. Why is that? Because organizations like Islamic Jihad and organizations like Hamas charter exists to kill all Jews around the world and convert all the Christians. See, they don't want peace. Peace goes against what they stand for. They want to slaughter the Jews. You see, everybody's going, why won't Israel just have a peace? Why don't they just stop dropping bombs on this? Terrible. They're killing women and children. They're killing women and children because Hamas wants women and children to die in order to fire up all the Muslims around the world and create holy jihad. The question you have to ask yourself, if Israel was to lay down their arms, disarm, and surrender, what would happen? If Hamas was in Gaza, was to stand up right now, we turn ourselves in, we sacrifice ourselves for our people, we love our people, we don't want them to die anymore, so we lay down our guns, Israel, come arrest us, we won't fight you, we surrender, what would happen? Just answer those two questions honestly. Because that will tell you the difference between the two sides here. This is from Israel. It says, against the background of the harsh statements from Turkey, I ordered the return of the diplomatic representatives from Turkey in order to conduct a reassessment of Israel-Turkey relations. The the Turkey government is banging the war drums against Israel. Israel has pulled their diplomats. This is not a good sign. Let me tell you something. There's prophetic word out there from some of the modern day preacher prophets warning Turkey not to enter this war because God will deal with them harshly if they do. So we will see. We will see what happens. Presidential candidate, Republican Ramsway, whatever, Vivek, however you say his name. I mistakenly called him a Muslim in the past. He is not. He's a Hindu. Give and take, whatever. Here's what he says about Hamas and what Israel should do.
I would love nothing more than for the IDF to put the heads of the top 100 Hamas leaders on stakes and line them up on the Israel-Gaza border as a sign that October 7, 2023 will never happen again, and then to use all of those saved resources to build the border defenses of the future. But that is Israel's decision to make, not ours. That is what David Ben-Gurion would tell Israel to do. That is what George Washington would tell the United States to do.
So Vivek says he wants Israel to put Hamas's heads on stakes. Well, you know, back in the day, that's the way they used to do it. Not Israel per se, but the Romans and the Germans and the Greekans and the Persians and the Babylonians and all the great empires of the past. Germans, I'm thinking of the barbarians that stormed Rome. Andrew says, I heard last night that a Chinese battleship, that we sunk a Chinese battleship. It's talking about Chris Sanders. He was the one reporting on it. I haven't seen anything about a Chinese battleship. That would be big news because that would mean that World War III has commenced and we are now at war with China. So I've seen nothing about that. And that would be big news. I don't know anything about it. I will look into it, but I doubt it. If we sunk a Chinese battleship, then we're in the middle of World War III already. I do know that last Friday there was a standoff in the South China Sea between American and Chinese naval vessels. It was just a standoff. No one, as far as I know, nothing was sunk. Here is Bibi Netanyahu as he announces the next phase of the war as Israeli troops are now entering into Gaza.
This is our second war of liberation. We are going to fight to protect the country. We're going to fight. We will not retreat by land, by sea, by air. We shall eliminate the enemy on top of the land and the bottom, and we shall prevail. It will be the good over evil, light over darkness, life over death. In this war, we are standing together, united more than ever.
So there is Benjamin Netanyahu as he comments on the beginning of the ground offensive. Here's what it looked like over the evening hours in Gaza. So there you have it from the other night as Israel continues to pound Gaza into submission or whatnot. And there's a lot happening, a lot we're not being told. It is, I mean, people are dying. I had a discussion with a group of folks on Facebook that, are debating, how can we kill all these innocent people, blah, 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 like this is war. Do you realize how many innocent people we killed when we firebombed Dresden? Do you know that we killed more civilians, men, women, and children when we firebombed Tokyo than in both nuclear bombs being dropped during World War II? In war, people die. It's not like your video games where you can respawn. In war, people really die. Anybody who's fought in war, whether it was like me in a turkey shoot of a war during the first Gulf War, or it was like some of the folks on here, Vietnam veterans, or other places around the world, or even veterans of the last 20 years, war is hell. It's not fun. It's not entertaining. It's not something you enjoy doing. And in war, people die. When we bombed Tokyo, we firebombed Tokyo. The fires raged so hot that they created hurricane force winds that sucked people into the fire. But we were at war. Why are you bombing civilians? Civilians make weapons in their factories. It's war. Carpet bombed for weeks. Yeah. Nowadays we have precision guided smart bombs that could take out our target with one bomb. But back then once that bomb left the plane, you had no idea where it was going to go. But kind of sort of could aim, kind of sort of. When you have 1,000 B-17 bombers all hitting one target, maybe you'll hit the doggone target. But that's the way war was. And that's the way war is. It's intentional. Here's Donald Trump. He says this is a fight between good and evil.
On that terrible Saturday morning, the world saw once again that the conflict between Israel and Hamas is not a conflict between two equal sides. This is a fight between civilization and savagery, between decency and depravity, and between good and evil. There is no comparison between a group that worships death and a group that cherishes life and cherishes our nation. Every single life that is lost in this conflict is on the shoulders of Hamas alone. It's Hamas alone. And I think you have to really add in the word Iran. Iran. People don't want to talk about it. There can be no sympathy, no excuses, and no escape from these monsters. And we will do what has to be done.
We're in a fight against good and evil, and these are monsters, and we need to do what has to be done. So over the weekend, at a Southern Cal football game, they had a protest. The beginning of this video has no audio, so it is what it is. As a bunch of pro-Palestinian protesters out there in Nutsville, California, sat down on the center of the football field and stopped the progress of the game.
Protest.
So that's out there in California. And I mean, who cares? But the protesters are now getting rowdier, and it's going to continue to get rowdier. Here is Daily Mail reporting a major escalation in the Israel-Hamas war ebbs closer as Iran warns it may be forced to enter the conflict. I will tell you right now that Iran will, it's prophetic, Iran and Turkey will both enter this war. Iran's already in this war. They pay for most of it. And it's coming. But they will not defeat Israel. They won't even come close. But we will see change in this world when this is all done. Here's one that I just, this one blew my mind. This is the Black Hebrew Israelites, which are not Israelites, but a bunch of crazy cult. They're the ones. Do you remember when the Catholic kids were in DC and they were the ones disparaging the Catholic kids that got them all into trouble? You remember that? It was the Black Hebrew Israelites. They're a bunch of crazy people. I mean, and they have a propensity to fight. So you have the Black Hebrew Israelites and the pro-Palestinians battling each other in Chicago, which is kind of hilarious to me. But anyways, here we go. So anyways, there they are, causing a ruckus. They are an extreme, how shall I say, Marxist group. And they're odd ducks, every one of them. Here is CBS, just listen to this conversation.
There's still a lot of evidence with a lot of these international organizations that when we send aid into Gaza, a lot of it goes into the wrong hands. And that's what those of us who are critical of the president's posture are really worrying about. We don't want to basically fund two sides of the exact same conflict. Fund Hamas, fund Israel. Seems like a really bad deal for American taxpayers. Most of all, it's just stupid.
Well, it's not aid to Hamas. It's aid to the Palestinian people.
Sure. And look,
1 million of which are children.
And if I could wave a magic wand and give aid to the Palestinian children, I will. But given the realities on the ground, I think if we divert resources to Gaza, it's going to fall in the wrong hands.
So you don't trust any of the international organizations that are doing that now?
I don't trust Hamas on the ground. And I certainly think the international organizations, look, some of them are good people. Some of them actually have some compromised positions. We can't assume that just because it flows to an international organization, it's going to go to the kids and not to the fighters.
So she's like, well, we're not paying it to Hamas. We're giving it to the people. No, you're not. Hamas is their government. They elected Hamas as their government. They take it. If we give money to the people, we give money to their government. Their government is Hamas. Where do you think it goes? It goes to help build rockets. They dig up their water pipes and their sewer pipes to make rockets. Screw their people. Somebody says, "Hey, Mike, who are the Jews that say they're Jews but are not in the book of Revelations?" Here's the best answer. If anybody gives you any answer other than this, they're liars. I don't know. There is QAnon conspirators with big followings who will sit here and tell you there are no Israelites. They're the synagogue of Satan. They're Luciferians. They serve WEF, and I know because I'm the authority. They're the ones the Bible's talking about. All of Israel, they'll say. There's no Jews anymore. That is an ignorant, misguided statement. Aaron says you want me to name names. No, Aaron, I don't. Well, let me say something about that. There are Jews. There are Israelites with their lineages intact in Israel and all around the world. Yes, many of them are left-leaning in their politics. Many of them are not left-leaning in their politics. There are Messianic Jews. These are Jews who believe Jesus Christ was the Messiah. There are Orthodox Jews. There are non-religious Jews. These are people who are of the lineage of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But there are those that claim to be Jews that are not. Now, you tell me who's who. I don't know. I can't tell them apart. I don't know which is which and which is ain't. But I have a God that knows. From the very beginning, he knows. So I ain't worried about it. My Bible says to Abraham, I will bless those that bless you and curse those that curse you and your descendants. I will stand on that. You cannot be a true follower of Jesus who was a Jew, whose disciples were all Jews, whose early church foundings were all Jews. When you read the Bible, it's all written by Jews. You cannot be a follower of Jesus and not love Israel. Sorry. If you have hatred for Israel and hatred for Jews, I know the Khazarian Mafia is not, okay, who is Khazarian Mafia? Somebody tell me. Name names. Well, George Soros and Yuval Harari. Yes, those are some nut jobs. But are they Khazarian Mafia? Well, they're the ones that came from this place over there in Eastern Europe, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. Who are they? Point them out to me. Show me. Well, it's this person and that person. How do you know? Because so-and-so, the conspiracy theorist told me. Again, we're going on faith of what someone told you. I personally do not know who is and who ain't. Now, the Rothschilds, how do you know the Rothschilds are them? Are they good people? I'm sure they're not. But how do you know? You don't know. Someone told you, so you believe it. Again, I don't know. That's the only answer anybody can give. I do know that there are evil people. I do know that there are evil people. Now how I know there's evil people? Because let's listen to General Flynn.
We have the House of Representatives right now is totally, completely broken, and they're totally owned by the corporate lobbyists, and frankly by the globalists who own many of these people because they've been compromised by some of these what they call Codell trips overseas, where these members of both the House and the Senate get compromised by sleeping with children. And they compromise. And these are real things. These are very real things. They get them caught up in the world of big bucks, big money.
Our Congress is compromised because they sleep with children. It's everywhere, man. It's everywhere. They're all evil. I don't know who's who. And you don't know who's who either. That's why we got to trust in the Lord. That's what I mean by this. Everybody wants to say it's this person or that person, but they don't have any idea. For example, I'm sure pushing the wrong button. Hold on a second. I'm sure that this red-headed fat dude is not a Jew. In fact, he's not a Palestinian either. No, he's probably Antifa. Nor is this guy. Or the rest of these protesters. And listen to what they're chanting in the streets. Listen to what they're chanting. I mean, listen to what they say.
Move, cops, get out the way. We know you're Israeli trained. Move, cops, get out the way. We know that you're Israeli trained. Move, cops, get out the way. We know you're.
That's a reminiscence of how's that? It's the pigs and fry them like bacon thing that the Black Lives Matter used to do. These are the same people. They're Renamobs. They're the same people. Same people. You know, some jihadis decided they were going to take over an airport in Dagestan. Now, I had to look up where Dagestan was. I had no idea. I was like, okay, this is a country somewhere. Republic of Dagestan. Here is the Republic of Dagestan. I think that's how you say it. It's one of the stands. This is Georgia. This is Russia. This is the Caspian Sea. This is the Black Sea. This is Ukraine, Crimea, Turkey. So now you see here is the Republic of Dagestan right there. This right here. This is where it is. So Russia is just north of there. Okay. Georgia's here. Give you an idea. Armenia is here. It gives you an idea, right? You got Turkmenistan and Afghanistan and Iran. So now you got an idea. Okay, here it is. Now here's the story. Here's the story. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Don't really care. It's how it looks. I'm sure it's one of the stands. You know, the bunch of stands over there. Here is, so a bunch of jihadis took over the airport the other night. Just walked in, stood around, protested, chanted Abu Akbar and whatnot.
Я что, не мусульман, я не понимаю. Да, я вам честно говорю. Куда, в какую сторону шли? Я не могу сказать, я просто не знаю, брат.
So there's a bunch of jihadis. Now, Russia don't play because they came in and arrested all of them. About 300 people were arrested. They sent in their soldiers and moved them off the tarmac. Just saying, Russia don't play. Maybe we should take hints from Russia in this particular case. Because they didn't hesitate to put an end to the situation. We want to play footsie with everybody. We want to be playing nice. We don't want anybody to die. But the truth is, war is hell. Now, Iran threatens to enter the war, which makes the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, say this.
Said that if our troops were attacked, we would respond. We responded. If they're attacked again, we will respond again. And we are vigilant because we are seeing elevated threats against our forces throughout the region and an elevated risk of this conflict spreading to other parts of the region. We are doing everything in our power to deter and prevent that. but I'm not going to predict what the future brings other than to say that if we are attacked, we will respond.
If we will attack, if we're attacked, we'll respond. After we deliberate and think about it and decide which way we should go, and Joe Biden will give the order, then he'll back out, then he'll give the order, then he'll back out. Yeah, they won't respond. They won't respond. They don't ever respond. That's the problem with these people. Joe Biden, speaking of that, Donald Trump says this about the leader that we have right now.
We have a leader that can't compete with these people. We have a leader that can't be our leader. And I tell you something, can't be much longer. 1 year is a very long time. They can do tremendous damage to our elections. They can do tremendous damage to our country in 1 year. And we're not going to let it happen because we have a leader that doesn't know what the hell he's doing. And we're dealing on the it's complicated. It's not that complicated.
We have a leader that doesn't know what the hell he's doing. And it's not that complicated, but it is that complicated. To him, hey, do me a favor, if you haven't done so yet, check out the Liquid Bile Cell and the OVA. These products are changing people's life. Excuse me. You know, back in my younger days, I really pushed my body to the limits. Serving in the military and whatnot. Running. I used to love to run. Not so much anymore, but used to love to run. And look at you, Mike. You don't look like... I used to. Second fastest guy in my company, that little Puerto Rican guy, could never catch him. I don't know. Speedy Gonzalez, that's what I called him. But I pay for that now that I'm 52 years old. Because I get the aches and pains and the cracks and the pops. Excuse me. If you, like me, when you were younger, abused yourself and now you're suffering, Liquid Bile Cell is the stuff for you. It'll change your life like it changed mine. And I don't know why the cough comes now. This is a collagen HA matrix technology, one of a kind. Collagen is a building block of life. Your body needs it to replenish itself. You produce less and less of it as you get older. This improves joint mobility, lubrication, supports cardiovascular health, improves skin hydration, firmness, and tone. Doggone it. And it has changed my life. The aches and pains of getting older have substantially reduced. And it will do the same for you. And the OVA, my wife, someone sent a message just the other day about how much they feel better since they've been taking OVA. Ladies, if you are suffering from the normal symptoms of PMS or the normal symptoms of menopause, then OVA is the product for you. If you want to get a hold of this product, just go over to the Patriot Mike Show fan page. Scroll down to see my wife's beautiful face. Go to type Patriot Mike Show on Facebook. The first page, pinned to the page, is my wife. Where she's eating the chocolate sauce, makes your pants fall off. That's another product we have called Trim. I took some Trim this morning. I'm down another 2 pounds this week, this Monday, from last week, where I lost 8 pounds the last couple of weeks since I've been taking this product. This product is changing the game. It gets rid of that stubborn area around the midsection. Comment that you want to know more about this product, and we'll send you a link. It'll save you a few bucks off your first purchase. Take you to a web page. It's our e-commerce site. And I don't have to sign up for anything. You don't have to watch a video. You don't have to become a distributor. None of that stuff. You get the same pricing I get. Only difference is that with the promo code, I get a commission. And I thank you for your support. If you don't want to do that, you can send me a text message to 660-620-2644 or an email to patriotmikeshow@gmail.com. Either way, we'll send you the link. It'll change your life. These products are life-changing. I'm telling you, they are life-changing. They have several other healthy, environmentally friendly, which, you know, if the product works, I don't care. But that's a bonus, right? All natural, good stuff made right here in the United States products that'll help you out. Their soap is fantastic. been using their soap for quite some time now. So if you want to go out and help the Patriot Mike Show, that's one way of doing it. And I apologize about this cough popping up all of a sudden. Ridiculous. Man, where does this guy get off coughing like that? Golly gee. Just as I start talking about the plagues, the coughs come. All right. So Donald Trump gave some speeches this weekend, and we're going to blow through some of that here real quick. Here he is giving his speech this weekend. Just some excerpts of it.
As 2024 is our final battle, and with you at my side, we're doing this together. We will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers and fools from our government. We will drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists, Marxists, and fascists, and we will throw off the sick political class that hates our country so much. We will rout the fake news media. We will rout them. They have to come back and they have to be honest. They are doing so poorly. They have the lowest approval rating they've ever had. They have a lower approval rating than Congress. I'm proud to say that when I started, they had a very high, but we exposed it. But they have to come back and they have to be honest and they have to stop what they're doing. We will evict Joe Biden from the White House, and we will finish the job that we started, and we will do things that nobody thought were even possible. The great silent majority is rising like never before, and under our leadership, the forgotten men and women, they're forgotten, will be forgotten no longer. With your help, your love, and your vote, we will put America first, and we will very simply make America great again. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Make America great again. And then here's a little bit more from his comments. We're going to blow through a couple of these here real quick.
On day one, I will repeal Joe Biden's insane ethanol industry killing electric vehicle mandate. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard. The craziest. Everything wants to be electric. You know?
He's going to repeal the crazy electric car mandate of Joe Biden. Here's another one.
When I get back into the Oval Office, and it's we, because we're going to the Oval Office, we're all going together, I will totally obliterate the deep state, and we will expose every bit of Biden corruption that they're trying to cover up, which is massive. There's never been corruption like that. Just last week, it was revealed that the FBI had over 40 confidential sources providing criminal information on the Biden family, but instead of investigating Crooked Joe, the deep state falsely accused the information as being that of foreign disinformation. Remember when they said Russia? It came from Russia. His laptop came from Russia. Remember the laptop? Yeah, the laptop came from Russia. That's right, Russia. As president, I will be creating a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to shed sunlight on every dark and rotten corner of Washington, D.C., starting with Crooked Joe Biden. And now we can really do that because they've led the path. What they're doing is so bad to this country. To stop the Marxist prosecutors who release rapists and murderers while persecuting Republicans, conservatives, and people of faith like you, I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and AG in America for their illegal racist in reverse enforcement of the law.
So he's going to go after them all. And it's going to be, in my opinion, glorious.
Get out and vote, and we got to make sure they don't cheat. Keep your eyes open. Do what you have to do, but we got to make sure they don't cheat because they're going to try and cheat. It's the only way they can win. They have done such a bad job. We did great. You know, we did much better in 2020 than we did in 2016. We got millions and millions more votes, but they cheated like dogs. They used COVID to cheat, including with the legislatures. You know, they They didn't get approval from the legislatures on things. They did things. You had the 51 intelligence agents. Remember when they said the laptop from hell was from Russia? But they all knew it wasn't. You know, that was big cheating. A lot of cheating they did. And stuffing the boxes. You see that? You saw that with 2,000 Mules, didn't you? 2,000 Mules. You ever see? Try getting a copy of 2,000 Mules. Try getting a copy. Somebody said, I'd like to get 2,000. They made it almost impossible to get a copy of 2,000 Mules. He did it. Dinesh did a great job on that. And true, we're going to stop it. Yeah, it's a big, you're right. We're going to stop it because we're watching it now. We have the best teams of people in the country, and we're going to stop the cheating. Because if we don't stop the cheating, you're not going to have a country. If we don't stop the cheating, you're not going to have a country. So we're going to stop. We're going to stop the cheating. People aren't going to let it happen. They're not going to let it happen. The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election in 2020, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election of 2024. That I can tell you.
We're not going to allow them. How, Mr. President? How? The same way they didn't allow them to rig the election of 2016. Whatever happened, the anomaly of 2016 is going to happen again. God, among other things. Here's a little more from him.
Resident aliens who joined in the pro-jihadist protests all over this country, all over the world. This month, come 2025, you will find that we will deport you because these are people that are against our country. I mean, I saw it yesterday. They're screaming death to America, death to Israel, death to America, death to America. And then we're supposed to take care of them. You know, it's very, I dealt with some of the people that were fighting now, and they came over, and we paid them $750 million a year. And I met with the head people. I don't want to go into it too much, but I met with the head people. And they couldn't have been nicer. They were really great. Then they went back into the Middle East and their respective territories. And they started screaming, death to America, death to America. I said, is that the same guy that I was with over the weekend? It was so nice. Yes, that's it. That's what their motto is, death to America. I said, how much do we pay them? $750 million. I said, cancel it immediately. We canceled it. If they say death to America. But they've been saying that for years, and no other president canceled it. And it's amazing how nice they were after that. They wanted to be nice, and it sort of worked out. But it's got to work out long term, not short term. That's a short term solution, not a long term solution. Instead of cuddling up to the killers in Iran, as Biden has done, it's horrible what he's done. We had them ready to make a deal. They had no money. They were ready to make a deal. I told China, if you buy their oil, you're not going to do business with the United States. I told the same thing to India. I told it to everybody. I said, you buy their oil, you can't deal with the United States. They make a lot of money in the United States. And Iran was not doing any, you know, when I took over, they had $80 billion in cash. When I left, because of a rigged election, when I left, what happened is they had no cash. They were broke. And when you're broke, you're not looking at terror. You're looking to get your country through a period of time. We would have had a deal done within, I say, 2 weeks after the election, and it would have been a great deal for everybody, including Iran. They can't have a nuclear weapon. That's all. They can't have nuclear weapons. It's too destructive, too powerful. They can't have it. And Biden gets in. As of now, they have much more than $100 billion in cash. They have so much money, they're swimming in the money. But I will once again sanction them until their ability to fund terror is gone. They have to stop with this stuff. They have to stop. It's probably a natural instinct. It's no wonder that crooked Joe Biden and the...
So he's saying that if you came to this country and you're out there protesting this country, shouting death to America, we're going to kick you out. And if your country's shouting death to America and we're sending you money, we're going to stop sending you money when he takes over as president again. Here he is talking about Joe Biden.
To every American who is petrified that Joe Biden's catastrophic weakness will bring our country to ruin, I make you this promise. As your president, I will restore peace through strength. And yes, I will prevent World War III. We are very close to World War III, and we will prevent it. I know all the players. I know the players. I know the good ones, the bad ones, the weak ones. You know, there's a very powerful player, Viktor Orban. Did anybody ever hear of Viktor Orban? He's the head of Hungary. Hungary fronts on both Ukraine and Russia. And they went to him about 2 weeks ago. They said, what would you recommend that he was interviewed? Very powerful man. His country runs incredibly well. He doesn't allow illegals into his country. He put barbed wire fences all over. He has soldiers every 10 yards. He's got a soldier standing. Nobody came in. And he said he doesn't want his country blown up or destroyed. I mean, you know, it sounds, but he's a very smart, very respected person, very tough guy. They said, what would you do? I would like to know, this is during an interview, what would you do to tell President Biden, what can he do to make things better because the whole world is blowing up? He said, I tell him to do two things. Number one is resign, and number two is put Trump in charge again, because under Trump for 4 years we had world peace, and he's the only one that's going to be able to do it. So that was very nice. That was very nice. It's true.
So he's going to prevent World War III. He's going to stop Joe Biden's policy. And he's talking about how Hungary says, put Trump back in. Put Trump back in. Well, that makes perfect sense to me. We are in perilous times as things get really crazy. Now, here's a story. Here's a story that is, as you know, friend star Matthew Perry passed away over the weekend. 54 years old. It's 2 years older than me. Found in a hot tub in his LA home, sources say. He's been tweeting on his Instagram account for the last week or so that he hadn't tweeted on very much of him in his hot tub. He says, oh, so warm water swirling around makes me feel good. I'm Matt Man. He kept talking about these Batman references. He's Matt Man. Now, he has struggled with addiction and other problems for a while now, but there's some weird stuff surrounding this guy. Supposedly, he drowned in his own hot tub, and some are saying that he had a heart attack, which led to the drowning. Some weird stuff. He's also this guy. Could I be any more vaccinated? Get your shot and then get your shirt. Shop the entire collection at represent.com/Matthew Perry. Matthew Perry, yes, only available for a limited time. That's right, you can get your shot and proudly state that you were vaccinated. Here's another story. This is all Aaron Cates from Canada sent me this. He's telling, this is out of his book, and there's also video of him telling this on one of the late night talk shows. But he says that by the age of 10, Perry started misbehaving, started stealing money, smoking, letting his grades nosedive. And at one point, he was beating up his schoolmate at the prep school he went to in Canada. His schoolmate, Trudeau's son, Justin, now Canada's PM. So Matthew Perry used to bully Justin Trudeau. That's weird. And Aaron says it's confirmed fact that he used to bully Justin Trudeau. And I'm like, that's just weird stuff. There's a whole lot of, just like when, was it Full House? The star from Full House passed away here a few years ago. A bunch of weird stuff around him. And then I want to talk to you about this. This is the Center for Humane Technology, and it says your dreams are no longer safe, and neither is your Wi-Fi. Technology, because of AI, is advancing fast. Listen to this.
So the way this worked was they put human beings inside an fMRI machine. They had them look at images and figure out what the patterns are, like translate from image to brain patterns. And then, of course, they would hide the image. So this is a image of a giraffe that the computer has never seen. It's only looking at the fMRI data, and this is what the computer thinks the human is seeing. Yeah. Now, to get state of the art, here's where the combinatorial aspects, why you can start to see these are all the same demo. To do this kind of imaging, the latest paper, the one that happened even after this, which is already better, uses stable diffusion, uses the thing that you use to make art. Like, what should a thing that you use to make art have anything to do with reading your brain? But of course, it goes further. So in this one, they said, can they understand the inner monologue, the things you're saying to yourself in your own mind? Mind you, by the way, when you dream, like your visual cortex runs in reverse, so your dreams are no longer safe. But we'll try this. So they had people watch a video and just narrate what was going on in the video in their mind. So there's a woman, she gets hit in the back, she falls over. This is what the computer reconstructed the person thinking. See a girl, looks just like me, get hit in the back, and then she is knocked off. So our thoughts are starting to be decoded. Yeah, just think about what this means for authoritarian states, for instance. Or if you want to generate images that maximally activate your pleasure sensor, anything else. Okay, but let's keep going, right? To really get the sense of the combinatorics of this. How about, can we go from Wi-Fi radio signals, sort of like the Wi-Fi routers in your house, they're bouncing off radio signals that work sort of like sonar. Can you go from that to where human beings are to images? So what they did is they had, a camera looking at a space with people in it. That's sort of like coming in from one eye. The other eye is the radio signals, so sonar from the Wi-Fi router. And they just learned to predict, this is where the human beings are. Then they took away the camera. So all the AI had was the language of radio signals bouncing around a room. And this is what they're able to reconstruct. Real-time 3D pose estimation, right? So suddenly AI has turned every Wi-Fi router into a camera that can work in the dark, specially tuned for tracking living beings.
So they can read your mind. AI can now read your mind. Now just imagine when they hook this chip up to you that's connected to the worldwide AI that they're going to worship at Google. Don't believe me, look it up. They formed a 501c3, start a new religion to worship the eventual singularity when AI becomes sentient. Through Starlink, which is going to cover the whole entire planet with Wi-Fi. Whole entire planet with Wi-Fi, and they can use Wi-Fi as sonar to detect where you're at all times. Huh. That's weird. That's weird. Now somebody's asking me if I'm going to talk about I don't know where it went. Oh, am I going to talk about Pastor Locke and Pastor Dean Odle, as I say his name, Odle, O-D-L-E, and their debate about flat Earth or not flat Earth? Well, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care. The Earth is flat. The Earth is round. The Earth is flat. The Earth is round. We landed on the moon. We didn't land on the moon. Look, did we land on the moon? I don't know. Is the Earth flat or is the Earth round? Well, I have my suspicions because I have flown around the world. I have a son who's a crew chief on KC-135 tankers. So I have my suspicions on which way this will go, but frankly, it's irrelevant to me. As I look out my window, it makes no difference in my life. I'm interested in the debate for the pure spectacle of it. I may even attend it, depending on scheduling. But as far as that debate goes, you guys are spending your time chasing things that are irrelevant, wasting your energy on things that don't matter. Well, it means different because God, brr, 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 brr. Who cares? I figure that those things are bigger than me. If the earth is flat or the earth is round, I can do nothing about it. But I can tell one more person about Jesus. I can do my show. But as far as the rest of it is, I don't have any idea. I can't tell you. I can't answer it. I don't know. I got bigger fish to fry, so to speak. Then there's this one. Now, this is something we can do about. We can show up to our local school boards and go, hey, why are we paying $100,000 per student in these big cities? And yet in places like the Northeast over there in, I think it was in Portland, we're now letting kids graduate who can't read, can't write, and can't do math. Why are we doing that? Maybe we should ask these kind of questions. Here is some frustrated teachers talking about what's going on in our school systems.
These kids can't read. They can't decode. They have no vocabulary, no background knowledge. I've never seen anything like it. For context, for 8 years, I taught a self-contained program for significant language-based learning disabilities. Like, it was the most restrictive environment. It was the step before being sent to a specialized school. And my fifth graders with significant language-based learning disabilities could write better than non-disabled seventh graders can now. They can't write a sentence. They don't know what state they live in. They don't know what region of the country they're in. They have no background knowledge. Most of them don't know who the president is. They're coming to school with no background knowledge. They have very low skills. And yes, part of my job is to help them find those skills. And as a special education teacher, I'm obviously going to be working with students who require specialized instruction, but I'm not talking about specifically my students. I'm talking about students in the grade, period. And this was the case last year. They can't take notes. They can't even attend to a video. They can't even attend to a 3-minute video clip. I can play it. I can tell them what it's going to be about. I can summarize what the video did, and not a single one can tell me what the video was about.
No, y'all, can we talk about it? Can we please talk about it? Let's take a moment to discuss. Let's take a moment to debrief. Let's take a moment to unpack. So I'm not really understanding why they're not telling y'all. We all know that the world is behind, globally, because of the pandemic and stuff. But I don't understand why they're not stressing to y'all how bad it is. I'm not even trying to be funny, but these kids are, I'm going to just say this. I teach 7th grade, they are still performing on the 4th grade level. I don't care how you flip it, turn it, swing it, swindle it. They still performing on the 4th grade level. Ain't nobody talking about how they just keep moving, passing them on. They just keep passing them on, 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 passing them on. I can put as many zeros in this grade book as I want to. They're going to move that child to the 8th grade next year.
Burned out until the 2nd semester. Okay? Usually. That's when I approach burnout. Because we get Thanksgiving, we get Christmas, we get all these things. I am burned out. It's September. It has not been a full month yet. Has it been no, it's close to a full month, but it has not been a full month yet. So let me tell you, you know what I'm talking about if you're teaching right now. I saw another teacher from another school across the street from our school walking to her car this afternoon, and she looked like she could barely walk to her car. And I was like, we're almost to Thanksgiving, trying to be friendly. And she was like, just unloaded on me. She's like, I've been teaching for 34 years. I have never had it this hard. What is wrong with these kids? Not in a bad way, but I don't know how to reach them. I feel like I'm one lesson that used to take a day is taking a week now. The attention span, blah, blah.
And I teach at one of the more affluent schools. When I tell you that these babies cannot read, they cannot write, and they cannot comprehend, I'm not being funny. I'm being dead serious. It doesn't exist. I have kids constantly asking me, how do I spell window? How do I spell important? How do I spell though? And they be serious. They're dead serious. I could ask them, who is the main character of your story? The story of 4-paragraph story we just read. Can't tell you. They don't know. They don't know. They don't know. It took us 4 weeks to get through how to answer a question in a complete sentence.
And basically, whenever I say kids can't read, they are reading at either a kindergarten or a first grade level. When it comes to spelling, I'm seeing a lot of children who can't even spell the word said, for, mother, father in the 4th or 5th grade, which makes me wonder what's going to happen when they're in middle school and high school.
The fact that I have 4th graders who cannot read independently at all is just like, one, what am I supposed to do? Because teachers are not miracle workers. If I'm required to teach 4th grade standards, the 4th grade standards do not include me teaching phonics. Now, I understand RTI, the MTSS process, and different safety nets like that, but doing that for 30 minutes a day is not going to solve the problem. So what is really the expectation? Are we just going to continue to fail the students and not teach them how to read? Like, what is
So there you have teachers lamenting the situation in our schools. And look, I'm going to say this, and these teachers, every one of them, well, some of them dudes are a little, but I can get a sense that these teachers care about their students and they want to teach, and they're frustrated within the system. Maybe their politics don't align with mine, but they love the kids and they want to teach. They're called to do what they're doing, and they're frustrated within the system. But there are teachers. Why don't these kids learn to read and write? Because there's teachers who don't know how to read and write. They just gone through the system. They went to college. They got themselves an education that says they have a degree, but they were just passed on through. Then they get jobs. They get part of the union, and there you have it. But, it's not the teacher's fault that they're part of the system. It's our fault because we let them create the system. We need to stand up. We need to stand up to our school boards, to our school administrations, to our congressmen and congresswomen. We need to repeal at the federal level the NEA. We don't need a federal education department. We get rid of it. Let the states figure it out for themselves. And we need to stop spending money after money after money into a dead system. It's our kids' lives that are at stake. We need to stop sending kids to college just to go to college, into the Ponzi scheme that is college, government funded. Those kids that have the propensity to be doctors and lawyers and engineers and whatnot need to go to college. But the kids that are going to work at the local plant, they don't need to go to college. We need to stop doing that. It's a waste. We need to get back and teach our kids reading, writing, and arithmetic. We need to teach our kids, bring back the shop class, bring back the art class, bring back the band, bring back that kind of stuff instead of all this other extracurricular stuff we're doing. And we need to be strict with our kids. We need to set guidelines. Thou shalt not cross. But we can't do that because it might hurt the widow feelings. Well, you know what? Some of our kids need their feelings hurt. Some of our kids need to, when you watch an American Idol, and I haven't watched it in a long time, but they get up there and some girl gets up there or some guy gets up there and starts singing. They can't carry 2 notes in a bucket. And Simon says, "You're terrible." They say, "My mommy and my daddy and my grandma, and my grandpa, and my teacher, and everybody told me I could sing great." Well, they lied to you. We need to stop lying to our kids. You're the smartest kid I know, but you don't know how to read, write, or do math. Can't read a clock. You don't know which way's north. You don't know what state you live in. State of confusion. We are doing a drastic disservice to our young skulls full of mush who will grow up and be slaves to the masters if we don't do something very quick and turn this country around. I believe we need to cry out to God is what we need to do, because what will change this country is changing the hearts and souls of this country. Joe Biden said, we're in a battle for the soul of America, and he's right. We need to cry out to God, and we need to do it quickly. Oops, wrong button. Sorry. You guys, it's the end of my time. I got to go. I'm over time. You guys have a great day. I will talk to you all later. Patriot Mike is out.